Hey everybody, Chris here. Thank you so much for stopping in. Sorry it's been a minute getting back to you on this with the channel, but I've gotten some really good information and I want to share it with you because if you're someone that's my age, if you're looking to retire, if you're a little bit older, you may never have heard of these types of things that I've recently been learning about. If you're younger, you may be totally familiar with it, but it is so significant in the way that we relate to each other, the way that we think about each other, and the way that we'd approach any kind of problem that we would have. And so let me catch you up on exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about three different terms that I've become familiar with in the last little bit. And we've talked about attention deficit disorder, which everybody knows about. Many people have that diagnosis to one form or the other. But the other two terms that are similarly related neurological conditions are aphantasia, which means that you have no mental image when people mention a word or a scenario, something like that. It's much more of a clouded or a word-based image that they would have no image. And then hyperphantasia, which is an overactive sense of an imagination in which you see too many different types of images, and dyscalculia, which is a specific math learning obstacle or type of disability. And I would say that because I have that and it has been disabling. And for me to try to help you in terms of your own growth and something to look at, I have to be honest with you about how much this has affected me, especially in my younger years. I'm 66 now, semi-retired. So these things are things that I have lived with my entire life. And there are many, many adaptations and things that I have workarounds. But in the beginning, it was something that was very, very difficult. So with dyscalculia, it is not really like a math learning, it is a math learning disability, but it's not like someone who just sort of has trouble with math and struggles with it some. It is an almost blackout in terms of number digits and their relationships to each other. It can affect your ability to tell time and to remember dates, those types of things. So that was my experience from early on. It was from grade school on that I really would become fascinated with the shapes of the letters or the numbers. But as far as being able to manipulate them or have them in any kind of relationship to each other, it was really difficult to do. I was out of school when I was in my 8th and 9th grade, ill. And when I came back, the 10th grade was the last year that math was required in school. I got by with a D. All of the odd numbers were correct on my homework because I would always just look in the back of the book and just copy them over. As far as being able to really grasp fractions and decimal points and anything beyond really basic divisions, I would be trying to count on my fingers and not be able to keep up with it. And when you have this type of thing, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing trying to make change. It's embarrassing trying to look at a schedule and to remember what time something is or to remember when you're supposed to be somewhere. And so it is a difficult thing as far as society. Everything is to do with numbers. And mine was so bad that I really knew from an early age that numbers were not my friends. Since I couldn't relate to them, I would fail my math things whenever I would be required to do that. I would get a failing grade. So if you're an educator, if you're someone looking at people that you're teaching, remember the way that this is phrased as far as what someone may be able to have, because dyscalculia is a neurological disorder in that it doesn't make you less intelligent, but as far as your ability to do certain processes, it inhibits that. You just don't see it in the same way or retain that information. And so, because it was something that I avoided, I didn't own a clock. I wouldn't set a watch. I would always be extremely early for something that I didn't want to miss because I wouldn't really remember when I was supposed to be there. So I would try to be there really, really early. And so I ended up working for myself, being able to manufacture things that I could sell, and even ordering new supplies was really, really difficult. It was always a challenge to keep up with anything that had to do with numbers. And so it carries over into things like auto repairs. In order to do an auto repair, you have to remember what year vehicle you have. You have to remember the size of the engine or the size of the tire. There would be all of these things on it, as far as the dates and months on inspections and renewals and all of those types of things. Everything rolls around a date or a time. And so if you see it and instantly forget it, then you have trouble remembering what time something was. So because I really did not understand that it was a neurological kind of situation, it was something that I always, and I continued to try to do better and continue to try to work through. But it was also a great sense of humiliation and personal disappointment in myself that I couldn't just try harder, that I couldn't try harder to remember the numbers. And so I'm actually trying to learn about different types of memory techniques, a memory palace for people with hyperphantasia. It is an excellent way to remember something. So I would look into that. But as we're older now, trying to be honest with ourselves and honest with our partners about our learning styles, I didn't outgrow this. If there are things that you're still struggling with, have those conversations with your kids, with your partners, as far as the way that you see the world or the way that you're able to process information, especially to do with your retirement, with your bills, with your security. If you have passwords, if you have account numbers, all of those things, if you've been in a structured situation before you've retired, then you've been clicking along each month and not had to deal with those types of things. So they're going to be popping back up, and be prepared that if somehow you find that you're having a lot of difficulty, look these things up. If you've ever been diagnosed on an attention deficit disorder scale of some form, then you could have this dyscalculia, which is a very specific mathematical block. So I wanted to share that with you so that you could start your own journey as far as trying to learn about this and ways to work around it. So the best of luck to you, and I will talk to you next time.